Hi, my name is Eddie Santos. I'm a retired Army Sergeant with more than 23 years, and I am a disabled vet. I've been all over the place trying to get assistance for my disability. And as for right now, the only person that seemed to help me out was when I went to the congressman's office, tried to get some assistance for him to help me get my prosthetic leg fixed. So finally the congressman had me the opportunity to go to Palo Alto in San Jose, California, where they finally fixed my prosthetic. If you need help and you seem to not get it anywhere, you should go see our congressman with the people he has there to help us veterans get what we need and what we deserve for doing our time in service for the freedom of our island and for our country.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael F.Q. San Nicolas.
Funerals actually take a lot more planning than I expected. With us using island cuisine for the first time, of course we were iffy, but once they came and showed us their service, their food, tasted their food and everything, we definitely use them again because their service and food is just awesome.
With the horses, I'll swim through the sea, I'll climb to the mountain tops. Won't you come follow me? I'll take time to notice all that I see, and after I've come so far, know where I'll be. I'll fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away home. I'll fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away home. But life is a vision, that's how it should be. Canvas, and the choices are free. At the end of the journey, where all is complete, they'll all wonder where I've gone, but you know where I'll be. I'll fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away home. Fly away, fly away, fly away, fly away home. Our dreams last forever. For all that we know, the roads come together, and that's where we'll go.
The Pampas
and elite wish we go away
because we are
real and direct.
No interest owns us,
and we have no interest but
the truth. Together we are exposing
corruption.
Together we will reform criminal justice.
Together
We are fighting violence
against women and children.
we here at
Candid
Will shine the light on every corner of darkness.
Together we are giving a voice
to the voiceless.
and forgotten.
Stay lit.
Together.
Together,
Together.
Together
We are giving a voice to the voiceless and forgotten.
We are Candid News Group.
Buenas and half a day. Welcome to Candid News. I'm Johnny Rosario.
And I'm Troy Torres.
It is May 20, Wednesday, and the time is 1 something.
Thank you for joining our show today. It was supposed to be this morning, but whatever. They call it here Candid News starting at Troy 30 o'clock, so I'll accept that.
Water to Troy.
Quarter to Troy.
Water to Troy.
I'm the late one. I'm the Atrazal one. There is a protest, and I'm very likely going to be late to it. I am every day. At 5:30 p.m., it's been moved to the ITC intersection, and for a couple of reasons. One, the growing number of people who've been coming over the past Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. It's Wednesday now, right?
Yes.
And so they want to move it to ITC intersection to accommodate more people, but also because there's more traffic along that. And the point is to get more people involved in this journey for justice against the injustice of the governor. So please do join us at 5:30 p.m. today at the ITC intersection. This is a protest that was organized by just two residents, Candid Land viewers, Denise Pangilinan and Sandra Siu. You can also catch Sandra. She does her paparazzi
Yes,
online
sexy,
sales.
Sexy $5 bling.
Sexy $5 bling. Is it SEXY or
Yes.
SEXAY?
No, sexy.
SEXY.
Yeah.
Sexy $5 bling. Also,
Candid T-shirts. You can contact me at 797-7082. We have a little bit left of this black in stock. I think we're going to reorder that. But maybe coming tomorrow or the next day, we will have red and white T-shirts, and we will be putting that up. I'm just waiting for the mock-up. So if you want shirts, contact me at 671-797-7082. You can even WhatsApp me and let me know which ones you want, and then we can either set up a time to meet up, or if you want it by mail, we'll just discuss that too.
go to candidnews.com if you want to get news first from Candid News. It is published first on our website, then it goes on to our other platforms. Right after our website, it goes through WhatsApp, and I'm the one who blasts that out. We'll get to that in just a second, but go ahead and cast to my screen so people can see www.candidnews.com. This is the main page. All you have to do is go to the bottom and enter your email address and click subscribe now, and you will be subscribed to receive our news first. If you'd like, you can donate to us. There it's at the bottom, and I think it's through like PayPal or credit card. And then there's also the donate button at the top as well. Please do share the love of Candid News right now. If you're watching from either YouTube or Facebook, there you see the button. Go ahead and show your love for Candid. Thank you so much. That very much helps us. Also, share your love with yourself if you're a lazy person like I am and you like things being brought to you and you don't mind paying a delivery fee. Yes, I am that lazy. Go to buenprovecho.com. That's BUENPRUBECHU.com. All you have to do is enter your first and last name and your email address to sign up. Signing up is absolutely free. And then go through their orders, or go through their menu, and it's very nicely done. You can see their drinks, alcohol, snacks, hot foods delivered straight to your front door for delivery fee. And during this public health emergency, Buen Provecho is donating 100% of its profits to the community, back into the community. And this is a very big thing for a small company like this that just started. So at the start of its company, they're already taking a loss because they're paying employees and all this stuff, and so good on buenprovecho.com. Also, Isla Imports Guam. Oh, I didn't set it up yet, but if you go to, you can cast on my screen. If you go to Facebook, and then you search Isla Imports Guam. Go to their page, and you can contact Gabe Baker on his DM. His DM will just pop up right there, or call him or message him at 929-7456 to order and have special made a mini truck, and they're cute. Eric wants one.
Yeah, we have to measure it.
Eric wants a gray Honda, right? That's what you want?
Mm-hmm. It
Or-
doesn't matter.
Do you have a color in mind that you want? Or is color just a very gay thing to talk about a mini truck?
Maybe, like a black, jet black.
Jet black. What about the tires? What kind of
Oh,
tires?
yeah, those tires right there in the gold one.
On the gold one? Let's open it up. Oh, right here.
Nice.
You want the gold spokes to match the?
Heck, yeah.
I saw a blue one this morning. Very nice.
Where at? What
On
village?
the road, on the way here.
Like Jigo Deredo?
Yeah.
Nice. Are these because these are older trucks, right? You know how they made trucks pretty solid steel and all that. Are these heavier trucks or something? Is that why it's a thing, or is it just the cuteness? What is it about these things? I don't understand.
The practicality of it, it's practical.
What do you carry? I can see a Christmas tree, or I guess cargo, right?
Cooler and some fishing rods,
Yeah, that too. Anything. You can go shopping at Poshules, put everything in the back.
But you can do all of that stuff in a regular. Hetero men are something else.
It's not.
I swear.
It's cool.
I guess it's. I know it's a thing.
People look at you when you're driving that. People will,
Oh, I saw. Okay, remember the one I said that I saw someone driving it? The steering wheel was on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how it is with all of them?
No.
I'm
No,
not
I
don't
think
so.
I think that's cool.
if they're, direct imports from Japan or Korea, maybe, I'm not sure.
Well, just call Gabe Baker at 929-7456 or message him, direct message on Facebook, Isla Imports Guam. Just go to his page and check it on out. Ask him questions. He's a very social type of person. He'll answer your questions, especially if you like animals. He's like a super huge animal lover. The next thing before we get into news stuff is we are continuing our investigative look. Of course, our main story today is about the Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act. A part of that story, it's just not the one exactly today, but a part of it started with David Lebowski and his fight against Guam Memorial Hospital and Seventh-day Adventist Clinic. We are investigating someone for something regarding Seventh-day Adventists. His name is Danny Dial, and if you have any information regarding Danny Dial associated with Seventh-day Adventists, please give me a call at 671-456-4237. Of course, your anonymity is guaranteed. If you do not wish to be known to anybody, you will remain an anonymous source of information, and we very much respect that. That's a big part of how we are able to get information, is the trust that we build with our sources of information. So please, again, my number is area code 671-456-4237. And if you would like to be part of our news distribution list off of WhatsApp, you can send me a message. Make sure you save my number. The phone number is on the screen. Make sure you save it and then send me a WhatsApp message and give me your name and say that you'd like to be a part of the news distribution thing, and that's how it will happen. Starting today and continuing on Friday, as long as they have not run out,
Is the Emergency Food Assistance Program, Disaster Household Distribution. Before COVID, it was the, they call it commodity. on Tuesdays. So right now they just started it up again, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They have 5,000 orders. You just drive up and you pick it up, and this is in PD. Who is eligible? Households that have been impacted as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. Recipients will receive a bag of T-FAT DHD food commodities and a 10-pound box of fresh fruits or vegetables. Food commodities include items such as fresh apples and oranges, juices, beans, rice, canned fruits, sauces, tuna, salmon, pork, beef, and chicken. Only 5,000 bags of food commodities will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis. It is in PD at the food distribution warehouse. Yeah, and you just drive your car through the distribution center, and there's no walk-in, no walk-ups.
Cool.
Very cool. I wanted to go and get 10 pounds worth of fruit. But no, we'll just, for people who are having a hard time affording the price of food and they're going hungry and stuff, there's only 5,000, so, you know,
that's not much.
It's first come, first serve. It's not much.
I just feel for the people that don't have cars.
Yeah.
You know, how would they get there?
Well, there is the continuing weekday food drive that the Department of Education has that in most villages, the mayors pick up the leftover food. Like there was 1,475 leftover plates, I believe it was yesterday at around 11:30 a.m. And so we put the message out, you know, go to FBLG because there's a lot of plates of food left and no one wants that to go to waste. But the surplus after, I think it is 2 p.m. if I'm not mistaken, the mayors take that around their villages, especially places that they know where people don't have transportation, and also in more impoverished areas, like for Jigo would be like the Gilbaza subdivision. So apparently that does happen. But as the price of food is a worry for a lot of people, the price of gas is also
Going
a
up.
worry. Yeah, and so we're getting word that price of gas is going up 15 cents.
It is. That's twice already.
This is the second time, and
Where's the AG?
I don't know. I don't know if there's some exception that gas companies get, but in the price gouging law on the island, during the public health emergency, no one's supposed to be increasing their prices, especially if the price increase is to respond to the business environment because of the public health crisis.
Right.
You especially cannot raise prices because of something like that. So if you happen to go to the gas station and you see the increase in price at the whatever you call that sign thing that they have, or you're at the gas pump and you just take a picture of it, send that to the Attorney General's office and complain about price gouging, because they're not supposed to be doing that. On to national news that affects all of us, well, those who will be claiming unemployment checks whenever those unemployment checks actually become a reality for Guam. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin has a message, and this was in Business Insider. The Treasury Secretary said on Tuesday that workers who refuse to go back to work could lose their unemployment benefits under the Small Business Aid Program. During a Senate Banking Committee hearing, Republican Senator David Perdue expressed concern that the $600 boost in weekly unemployment checks was disincentivizing work, particularly with small businesses gaining access to loans under the $670 billion Paycheck Protection Program. Mnuchin responded he was aware of the technical problem and said people who don't head back to work stand to lose their benefits. Quote, if you offer back a worker and they don't take that job, Mnuchin said, quote, you will be required to notify the local unemployment insurance agency because that person will no longer be eligible for unemployment. Under PPP, banks are in charge of distributing government-financed loans to businesses employing fewer than 500 workers. A loan is forgiven if at least 70% of it is used on employee salaries and the rest can go toward fixed expenses like rent. But the design of PPP collided with the generous unemployment benefits authorized under the CARES Act in March. As more businesses begin to reopen, many employees are fearful about returning to low-paid jobs with scarce protections and getting infected with the coronavirus. Those workers are choosing to tap into unemployment aid instead. So this was something that we were wondering about, like, how does this work? If like you get paid more in unemployment than you would if you go back to your job. And I guess the Secretary of the Treasury is saying it doesn't work like that. You got to go back to your job.
Yeah.
You cannot receive if your employer is saying come back to work.
Yeah.
Then and also you can't collude with your employer either, because if your employer has the wherewithal because they received a Paycheck Protection Program assistance, then of course your employer now has the wherewithal to hire you back. And so I guess the federal government is getting smart here. Some Republican states like Iowa and Oklahoma, though, have already warned employees they could be stripped of unemployment aid if they turn down a job, according to the Washington Post. Around half of all workers are earning better pay from unemployment than they did at their old positions, the Wall Street Journal first reported. The Labor Department in April issued public guidance on the relationship between PPP and unemployment. The guidance states, barring unusual circumstances, a request that a furloughed employee return to his or her job very likely constitutes an offer of suitable employment that the employee must accept. So there you have it. Now we are going to ask some questions.
There was a couple of questions that, what about all these weeks without the unemployment? Do they get back pay?
I believe it's to March 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Oh, no, wait. I think it's to... Is it January 20?
I don't know.
It's either March 12 or January 20.
I need to ask the right people.
Yeah. No, well, we're calling the right people. Whether they'll give us the right answers. Actually, whether they'll
I still don't even think that's the right people. They press N. It went to someone's
That's a
cell
landline,
phone.
too.
No.
No, that's the landline that I called. Eh?
See? They don't want to talk to you, Troy.
Let's see.
They're closed.
Let's just keep calling. We'll just keep calling.
Hoffaday Joint Information Center.
Hoffaday, hi Jenna. This is Troy and Johnny and Eric and Kandit Len.
Hoffaday, Troy. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Hey, we just have a few questions. We're getting a lot of questions about when is Guam reopening for real. What is that June 5 date that keeps getting floated around?
Okay, my understanding of the June 5 date was originally when the executive order for the public health emergency was on May 5th.
Uh-huh.
It was to end on May 5th. There was a lot of discussion about an extension for one more month.
Okay.
So I think that's where that June 5th number came from. And it eventually ended up being, it was 30 days after the new executive order was signed. So from April 30th, the extension was until May 30th.
May 30th, okay.
Yeah.
So the public health emergency is extended to May 30th, at least for now, right? And like you guys say, all of that information can change without notice, right? So stay tuned for information on it. So as for now, does that mean that Guam reopens after May 30th if no other action is taken to extend the public health emergency?
Not necessarily. So I know the governor did make her announcement when she did say that although there might be changes in pandemic conditions of readiness, it doesn't necessarily mean that there will be changes with lifting of restrictions. So I know that the pandemic condition of readiness had a correlation with the extension of the public health emergency. So although she has extended it, she still was able to lift certain restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
And just don't know definitively on what will happen after May 30th.
Okay,
Whether or not it'll extend it again or if there will be a change in E-Core.
Okay, so then as for now, there's no solid date on a reopening of Guam or like a getting to a P-Core 4, basically.
That's correct. I guess that there are discussions.
Pardon me?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you better.
Okay, so we received information that they are looking at updating the guidance for P-Core 3, but there's just no definitive date on when that will happen yet.
Okay, thank you. The next question, I just have two more questions. And I don't know if this is something you're able to answer, but if you're not, if you could just take the question down and pass it along. There is a lewd recording of a governor's office employee, and what we want to know from the governor's office is whether there are superiors of one or more superiors of that employee in that same lewd recording. Obviously, what we're tracking here is a sexual harassment issue, and whether the governor knew about that.
Okay, I understand your question. I've taken note of it. I won't be able to respond to that from here in the Board Information Center, but I will pass this along to the governor's office.
Thank you very much. And the last question is regarding the emergency, and that is tomorrow there is an oversight hearing that Senator Sabina Perez is hosting, and we would like to know whether legal counsel Hai Hyun and two of his employees, Lori Tumanning and June Borja, will be attending the oversight hearing.
Okay, understood on your question. Again, I'll go ahead and follow up with the governor's office on that as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Do you have any questions?
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jenna. Very much appreciate
You're
your
welcome,
time.
Troy.
Okay, bye.
Okay, thanks.
All right, let's go to before we go to our main thing, let's go to your comments. Hi, Denise. Hi, James. Denise has her popcorn ready. Jacob says, buenas to everyone except Ashley porn stars. Judy May Kidigwa says, logic. Businesses are raising prices to break even since commodities are limited and fewer customers are shopping. So Judy May, according to the price gouging law, that is especially a reason to not increase your prices, according to the Guam's price gouging laws. Amy Jackson is trying to get the name of Jenna. The name of the person is Jenna Blas. Denise Pangilinan says, Jick, another waste of money. Doris Conception says, God bless y'all. God bless you too, Doris. Jovi Castro says they know it's you calling. Brad Hewitt says the retro on the unemployment is to when the governor shut down businesses. So I believe that was March 16. I believe she declared the public health emergency March 14, but the executive order she issued was to March 16. Brad, I always thought that it was to whenever the national public health emergency started, which was March 12. But I thought I remembered a January 20 date. And I don't know if that has something to do with when the coronavirus started to have an impact on the global economy. Anyway, I forgot to ask about that. Shoot, it's okay.
Oh, I forgot to let the Kandit Land viewers and donators who helped with Kandit's food drive to feeding families and helping these families get Pampers and baby milk and wipes and all that good stuff. Yesterday, Kandit, everything left. And we had a lot of food left. We had a lot of hygiene left. And baby items. Togi Guam actually came over and picked it up. And this is for families in recovery. And I say families in recovery because when you're in recovery, your whole family is involved.
Yeah, sometimes, but sometimes you don't have any family. Your only family are the people in recovery with you. And so, you know.
So thank you to Togi for coming and picking that up. We really hope that helps. And I didn't think that Kandit Land would mind, you know.
Well, I think Kandit Land loves that.
Yeah.
So
everything is gone.
Hold on, I'm trying to get the phone number to make one more live phone call. And I believe this is it. So we're calling the office of Senator Sabina Perez to ask about whether she's going to subpoena the governor's legal counsel and his two employees regarding the forgery allegations on the use of Linda Denorsu's signature.
Bye, I appreciate it. Sorry I missed your call. Leave your name and number, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
That's the first time that dog has barked today. It only happens during live streams. That's all. But so we're not able to get a hold of the office of Senator Sabina Perez. What we're going to present to you now is what we tried to present last night. Sorry, Janella did not mute our mics yesterday. We just had, I don't know, we actually don't even know what the technical difficulty is that happened when the stream just cut automatically. We're thinking it was just a sudden drop in the internet. There was no power outage or anything. It just dropped at the middle of the interview with Monica De Vera. It's an interview that we conducted late last year. On July 16 last year, here in our studios, right when we were brand new here. It was our first interview that we had here, and it was the second time that we interviewed a parent of someone who lost a child to medical malpractice. The first time was the interview we brought you with David Lebowski, which was in our Agania studios back in February of last year. The interview with Monica De Vera was very hard to get through for us, but we're sure not as difficult as it was for Monica herself. And it was the first time that she talked about this story, and it was July 16 of last year. She lost her son due to
23rd
of 2016. Over at GRMC right before her eyes. And so without further ado, here's that interview now. Buenas, Micronesia. I'm Troy Torres with Kandit News. A couple days ago, Johnny Rosario brought us the story of the Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act and how Kandit is trying to get the Guam legislature to do something about reforming it or repealing it altogether because of how this affects the poor and the middle class, basically people who cannot afford to go through arbitration when something terrible has happened to themselves or someone in their families. And Johnny asked for people to come forward with their stories so that members of the legislature can hear this, can see the pain in people's eyes about what they have to go through, the struggle that they have in their lives, but also, how they want to help others to never relive the nightmare that they've gone through because they've lost a loved one. And in the studio today we have Miss Monica De Vera. Thank you, Monica, for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Who has a story to tell regarding an experience she's had with Guam Regional Medical Center and the last time she saw her son alive. So, Monica, thank you so much for coming. And thank you for the singuelas. She brought us singuelas. There's a lot more in the fridge too. So you live in Tita?
Yes, I do. I'm here to share a story of my son Charles Blas. Oh God. They say that if you don't cry, you're not over their death. My son Charles had, he was born brittle bones called osteogenesis imperfecta on January 8th. And he also was recently diagnosed of having epilepsy.
What year was he born?
He was born in 1991, November. Anyhow, on January 8th of 2016, I was getting ready for work and he was laying on his bed and he just didn't look right. So I said, Charlie, you okay? He goes, Mom, I think I had a seizure, but I'm okay. Go ahead and go to work. I called my other son at home and I said, I have to go to work because I have to go to a meeting. Is there a way where you can go and keep an eye on Charlie? 8 o'clock, I put the phone right next to him on the bed. 8 o'clock came and I was still calling him, no answer. So I called my other son and I said, Jay, you need to go and check Charlie. Sure enough, when he came home, when he went to my house, he said he heard Charlie screaming from the road, help. Okay? So he called me at work and he says, Mom, you need to hurry home. Charlie fractured his bones and he can't move. I said, call the ambulance and I'll meet you at the house. Went to the house. They admitted him. They transported him to GRMC. He had 3 fractures from the seizure, one on his hip, one on his scapula, and one on his femur. The femur and the scapula were hairline fractures, but the hip one was really fractured that they said that they're going to have to go in and do a open reduction plating, anterior and posterior column right. I'm reading this, okay? Acetabular screws to fix to the right of his hip.
Okay.
But apparently the procedure was shortened and did not push through with the planned surgery on putting that plate and the screw on his hip.
Wow.
And I'll give you a reason for that. January 8th, they admitted him. They didn't do the schedule for the surgery until the 13th.
Okay.
Vital signs and everything was normal. No fever, nothing.
Okay.
So
no infection, basically, at least on that day. Okay.
So when they scheduled him for surgery at 9 o'clock on the 13th, this was what's supposed to have been done to him. The surgery was canceled. I didn't get a call from Dr. Arophilis until 11 o'clock. He went in at 9. Surgery was only supposed to be 45 minutes. It's already 11:30. He gives me a call and he says, Mr. Vera, just to let you know, we had to cancel the surgery because your son's bones were too brittle. It took a while for me to find where my son was at. So I didn't.
So they never even opened him up or anything?
They opened him up.
Okay.
They forgot to tell me that they drilled a hole in his bone marrow and made it leak. And that's what caused the infection. He had sepsis.
And this was Dr.
Arophilis.
Arophilis. He was the surgeon and the attending physician?
Yes. The attending physician also was that Ali Insaf. He was the one that was prescribing an antibiotic that I did research on. My son had fever of 105 for 4 days.
Oh, wow.
This vancomycin antibiotic that they administered, and I did research. I pulled all his files out from the hospital. If you do not base the weight of the patient with the dosage, high risk of heart attack is there, and that's what my son died of on the 23rd.
When you told me about this antibiotic, I knew it was, I took this antibiotic intravenously at GMH. So it's through the drip, right?
Yes.
Okay.
On the 13th and the 14th, and I have the records here, my son was given 250 milligrams every 6 hours. He was only supposed to get 40 milligrams within 7 hours. On the 4th and 5th day, they shot it up to 1,000 milligrams. Troy, every time they administered that antibiotic, my son, he's 24 years old at that time, would cry to me, Mom, why is this thing burning on my hands?
Oh my goodness.
I would bring it up to the attention of the nurses. What they say is, oh, Mr. Vera, the antibiotic is strong, it's supposed to burn.
Okay.
But never went to the doctors to let them know what my son was going through.
This is the nurse?
Yes.
Okay.
They released him, they decided to release him on the 19th. 7:30 in the evening. Okay, because they said his infection was cured.
So they said he was no longer sepsis?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna go home, light walk, we'll do physical therapy a couple of days later.
Okay.
When we went home, Troy, it was almost midnight. No pain meds, only a piece of paper, the prescription. So I asked the head nurse, I said, how am I gonna give my son his pain meds when the pharmacies are closed?
You have to wait until 8 in the morning, right?
You couldn't wait until tomorrow morning because your floor here is empty. Oh no, doctor's orders, you have to be discharged. My husband had to drive like a mad person on the road to avoid the bumps to put him in. On the 19th, we came home. I didn't get his medicine until the following morning. He was okay. Saturday morning, I asked him, I woke up at 8 o'clock and I said, Charlie, I'm going to go to the bank. Do you need anything? You want to eat breakfast? He says, that's okay, Mom, but can you buy me a hearing aid because mine broke? I said, okay, after the bank, I'm going to go straight to Island Fresh to buy it there because, they had the hearing aids there. Not even 30 minutes, I just got out of the bank. My daughter calls, and you can hear my son screaming in the background. My heart is on fire. I said, my daughter's like, Mom, you need to hurry home. I said, call the ambulance. Although he had a fracture, he was moving his legs in the ambulance, Troy. When we went to GRMC again, they shot him up with this medicine, but he kept pleading with the nurses there, please, give me pain meds because my heart is on fire. Somebody gave the prescription to give him Love Knox. Right after they shot it on him, he was vomiting blood, non-stop blood. The doctors there was like, we need to get a CT scan going because we need to find out if he has a blood clot that's causing the bleeding. And I said, whatever you guys gave him is what caused him because he wasn't bleeding this in the house. Up to this date, I vision him pulling the gurney down, saying, Mom, please don't let me die. They did the CT scan and they called Code Blue. Not even 10 minutes. All I wanted was answers to my son's death because he was a good kid. He only went in for a fractured bone but died of a heart attack. I just want these doctors to stop what they're doing. I don't care about the money because it's not going to bring him back. When he died, they transported his remains to GMH on a Monday, the 25th. I called GRMC and I said, can I know where my son's remains are going? He said, he's going to have to do an autopsy. They need to perform one. So he's being transported down to Dr. What's his name? Espinola. Okay. I said, can I speak to Dr. Espinola? Because I was just not ready to accept the fact how he died. I wanted to find out how he passed away. So they said, the guy at GRMC said, don't bother him. If any...
Don't bother him?
Yeah, don't bother him. Let him do the autopsy, and when the findings come, we'll get back to you. I made an appointment to see Dr. Espinola because I called. I didn't listen to him. I called.
Good for you.
I called, and they said he wasn't in the office until the 4th. And I said, okay, can I make an appointment? My son's funeral was on the 5th. I could not. I was asking the lady at Dr. Espinola's office. I said, my son is scheduled to be buried on Tuesday. Yeah. Is there a way where I can come down and see? Would there be a problem if I don't see Dr. Espinola before they bury him? And she said, no, there's no problem. So I said, okay. I went down and I spoke to Dr. Espinola. He said, Ms. De Vera, if I would have known that you had concern of your son's death, I would have put a stop to it. When Island Funeral Home picked up his remains, it was a Thursday, I asked Nancy, and I said, Nancy, did they do the autopsy? What did they find? She goes, they didn't do one. They didn't have to.
So he was cleared
because,
without an autopsy.
Yeah. The only reason why Dr. Espinola said that he didn't perform the autopsy is because GRMC only forwarded my son's remains with the medical records of the day he went in and died.
So nothing about what he was receiving intravenously and what he was prescribed. So Dr. Espinola said if he had known about all those different medications,
He would have put a stop, did the autopsy, and would have found, but because already he's buried, it's a legal case. I need to go seek legal advice.
because
So-
it would have been a wrongful death by that, or that he would have classified it as or something, right?
Yes. So,
Now, and GRMC was discouraging you from talking to Dr. Espinola.
Yeah.
Who at GRMC discouraged you?
I have his name at my house and one of my notes. It was down at the coroner's office. I think it's a Mike or a Mark.
If you can get the name for us.
Okay, and I can get you that.
So then, what did you do after that?
I buried my son, put him to rest, and then I tried, was it end of February, I reached out to Attorney Keogh,
Robert Keogh, all right?
and he had...
Because you knew that something...
Yeah, was wrong. And
Something
one
bad.
of my relatives said try him because he's tried handling malpractice here in Guam and he's won a case. So I reached out to him and he told me that he would have taken my case, but he's going to be retiring. And the last case that he had won with a military couple, he got them a $7.5 million lawsuit that they won, but he
Yeah.
spent $150,000 to get that.
And that was Naval Hospital, right?
Yes.
And there was a death in their family?
No, the guy didn't pass away. He just had some major injuries from the surgery that they did. Yeah. So he referred me to Sergio Rufo. He's another attorney who's off island. He was in Honolulu. He flew in and we were communicating, and he said, "I'm willing to take your case, but you need to come up with $60,000 for the arbitration."
And did you know about that prior to?
No.
No. So what did you ask him about this arbitration?
I was asking him, I said, why does this have to be the first step to file a case for the wrongful death of my son? And he just said that that's the practice here in Guam, and it's sad that the legislature is not looking at the folks that can't afford to pay to come up with this kind of money.
So Mr. Sergio Rufo explained this, attorney.
Yes.
Rufo explained this to you. And what was your understanding of how malpractice lawsuits worked prior to that?
Well, I was never really looking into that. I just wanted to find closure for my son, Troy.
Through the court system.
But so with that being said, that he just made my spirits go down, saying I don't have the money.
Who has that money?
Nobody.
No one has that money.
Lucky if you
Except
have.
the rich people.
Yeah. So he said he was willing to take my case and cover the money if he wasn't that busy, but he had a lawsuit in LA that he was busy with. So I said, okay, that's okay. But he advised me that I needed to get this case going if I was going to hire another attorney. 1 year. There's a law saying it has to be filed within a year of the death.
The arbitration you're
Yes.
talking about. Okay.
So I went in. There was a lawsuit. I heard on the news, was it in January of last year? No, November, in GRMC's case. And I reached out. Dr. Shea was the one,
Okay.
and he said, there's a doctor here in Guam that used to practice at GRMC. Go and seek help with Attorney Lujan's office.
David, okay.
Yes. So I went there, met with Gloria Rudolph,
Okay.
and she prepared all my documents.
And I noticed here, so you went through a court case.
Yes.
And it was a verified complaint for damages and a demand for jury trial by 6.
Yes.
A civil case against GRMC. At the end of it, and it was in the court of Judge Maria Senzon. I was reading this. This is the decision and order granting defendant's motion to dismiss. Defendant is GRMC. So at the end, GRMC made a motion to dismiss based on the court having no subject matter jurisdiction. And they cited the Medical Malpractice Mandatory Arbitration Act. But, as I was reading it, as I was letting you know, it wasn't just subject matter jurisdiction that was the issue. Your attorney also brought up due process. Let me go to that. This is important, this due process thing. The court had the opportunity to rule on your constitutional right to due process, and the court did. Which is interesting because it's like the court forgot everything that's written in the Bill of Rights, the 14th Amendment, the Constitution. I mean, so here, plaintiff argues that Section 10102 is now invalid since there is no longer an American Arbitration Act office in Guam. Moreover, plaintiff would be denied meaningful access to the court if forced to suffer excessive hardship by paying for and having the claim handled by the American Arbitration Association. So essentially what you and your attorney were saying is, how can I have access to any sort of justice unless I had a lot of money, because the AAA, the American Arbitration Association, doesn't even have an office here, and in order to get them to arbitrate, I have to pay for travel costs of the 3 arbitrators, their lodging, so the costs go up astronomically. So it's not just the attorney's fees that you would have to pay. Now you have to pay for the actual arbitrators to come to Guam and to stay here during the period of the arbitration, and whatever other expenses that they may have, because there is no office on Guam, right? That's one of the things that the law says, is through the AAA or whatever organization can arbitrate, but there's no other organization on Guam that you found, right?
Right.
And it goes on to say the court recognizes its role in determining whether the, quote, availability of arbitrating before AAA, unquote, may violate one's due process rights. That's the quotes are from the law, the Chapter 10 of Title 10, Guam Code Annotated. Villagomez Pallison versus Superior Court 2004, Guam 13, that's the reference. Again, the court is not requiring plaintiff to arbitrate through AAA, but the court determined that the plaintiff is required to actually arbitrate the claims through AAA, PAMS, or any other entity organized to arbitrate. There is no other entity. And the only entity that there is, AAA, you have to fly them in. So the court missed the point entirely about your due process rights. And is this why you're happy Mr. Lubofsky and the Thai degrees are going through this process?
I think they are.
They're fighting for the same thing, due process rights. And I don't know if it's in the court of Judge Maria Senzon, but it is in Superior Court, and their arguments seem to be very close to what your arguments are about it. That you were denied justice. Tell me more about when you read this, what your thoughts were.
There's no hope. I just gave up. But I pray every day for my son to cross over and rest. He had a life, you know.
He didn't want to die.
Apparently not. You're pushing yourself, even if your leg is fractured, you couldn't move it, you're drugged down, and putting that gurney down and saying, "Mom, please don't let me die." Any mother, Joy, if they can carry that burden for their child, I would have done it for him. I've seen everything. I've done everything. He didn't even go halfway. And it's sad that these doctors are just gonna let us out in the cold. I tried leaving messages after my son passed away of Dr. Rafalis. Can you please have him return my call? I just want answers.
Does he still work there? Do you know?
He wasn't practicing there. He just was called to do the surgery because he was apparently the only orthopedic doctor on island. He took over Dr. Bollinger's clinic.
And who prescribed the medication?
That Dr. Ali Insaf.
Dr. Ali Insaf. And does he still work at GRMC? No.
Even the nurses that were there
No longer work there?
because they're H2 workers. Apparently, I don't know where this Ali Insaf came
They were
from.
H2 workers.
Nurses.
They were not H1? They were H2?
Or H1.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Well, sometimes,
But,
sometimes they do classify them as H2 when they're not supposed to be.
after my son passed away, the whole 4th floor was closed and just recently opened.
How long after your son passed away?
He died in the 2016 January. They just opened the floor last year,
No, but when did they close it?
right after he passed away.
Like within days?
I think it was like a month after.
A month
yeah.
after. And so there are other, according to this suit in the footnotes, there are other malpractice lawsuits. that have been
I've
filed
heard
in court.
of 5.
Have you tried to reach out to any of them?
I've tried only to one family, some way. I only did it through Messenger because I have no means of communication with her, and I just saw she had a Facebook. She has a pending case with GRMC for her brother.
Okay.
And I did message her. I know she read it, but I don't know if she was up to responding or not. I only found this document online when I was Googling my name, not even my attorney. I've made attempts since January to call Gloria.
And she hasn't returned your call. So you didn't know that the case was dismissed by Judge Maria Senzon with prejudice?
And that was done since May of last year.
So I believe with prejudice means that you can refile the case, except that the judge is saying that according to her ruling, you have to go through arbitration first. And you don't have that money. You don't have the $60,000 or however much it would cost.
No.
Nobody does. Well, at least people like us, we don't have that kind of money. Is that why you feel hopeless about it?
Yes.
So
This court system is just not for the people. At least not the poor or the middle class. If you got the money, they'll make you dance.
And that's not just the court system. The legislature right now can remove that law and allow you to file for relief and for justice in the court system without arbitration. It's something that, I don't know if you've heard, but Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes.
I saw you.
Yeah. What do you think about that whole effort?
That's just the first step in the door.
Yeah. Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel? See some hope?
With you guys pushing, don't stop.
We won't.
Because she's gonna just put it on the side.
We'll keep pushing it. We like pushing things.
I'll help
know?
you push.
You gonna help us push?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. And for Mr. Lebowski and Twyla Tadegui, they're going through
I
the same thing.
know
you're going
exactly
through.
what they're feeling as a mother and a father, a parent.
They're
It's-
heartbroken. And in a way that none of us who've not gone through that experience could ever understand. Can I hug you?
Sure. Thank you, Troy, for everything.
Well, we're gonna keep going. This is just the beginning, right?
Okay.
It's just the beginning. Do you want to add anything else?
I'm fine.
Yeah? You gonna be okay?
Yeah.
Let me keep praying for Charles.
Can I just see something?
You need the microphone too, Melissa.
No, this doesn't have to be in the. I just want to say that the only way he's gonna rest is if you rest. But you have us to fight with you. You didn't fail him as his mom. We're gonna keep fighting. And as long as you're good in your heart, because you're doing whatever you can for him,
I hope
he
so.
can rest. Yeah,
Just 3 weeks ago,
the good die young.
I had a dream, that I was going down the stairs of my house, and the door was open with his slippers. And I opened the door, and he was laying down on the ground like this. And I said, "Charlie, you're home." Because, "Yeah, Mom, I'm home." I said, "Come inside and sleep." It was okay, Mom. My kids also would have dreams of him wearing the same thing, the khaki shorts and green shirt, trying to climb out of the casket.
Those are visits.
So when we get those, we just go to the cemetery, give him something, you know, flowers, and he loves Mr. Brown, so I'm always putting that there. My 2 girls graduated, and he was always pushing them, finish your school. So on their pictures for their thing, they have him in his family portrait with his picture there.
He was 25 years old.
24. Macy's called the following week after we buried him, saying he has an interview. Even this Jehovah Witness came in June, after, because every time I come home from work, and that's what I miss. He calls me up from work at 11 o'clock. Mom, what do you want for lunch? I said, anything, Charlie, surprise me, I'll be home. He's waiting outside, Troy, every day. How was your day at work? Mom, let's go eat together. Then when we're finished eating, he goes, just leave the food. Go upstairs and rest, and then I'll let you know when it's time to go back to work. And when I come home he wakes me up. Mom, go back to work. I'll see you after work, okay? Every time I come home from work, he's there in that chair in front of my house, waiting for me. If I have groceries to take in, he'll help me. I'm never gonna have that anymore. I know I'm supposed to be strong for my other kids, but it's hard. Always tell your loved ones you love them before they go to bed, before they leave their house, because you never know when you're going to see them again. Oh. I've tried seeing a psychiatrist for this. They said, we'll just give you medicine to put you to sleep. I said, I don't have a problem sleeping. I don't. It's my son waking me up with what I see in the emergency room before he died. After he died, they did the code blue. We didn't get to see my son until 2 hours later. They said, come in and say goodbye to your son. Because we couldn't, we tried. My son was so stiff and cold already when we went into the trauma room. I even told the nurses, I said, get off my son. He's dead already. Why do you keep trying to do CPR? His body is so cold. I'd like to, that's all I ask. Tell your loved ones you love them every day. I forgot to tell my son that when he was going into CT room, that I loved him. I just said, okay, Charlie, I'm going to make sure you're not going to die. That's why I feel that I failed my son. I'm sorry, you guys.
You're helping, what you're doing is helping a lot of other people and keeping his memory alive, of course. That keeps him alive. But what you're doing, advocating for these things to be done, is going to help other people to not lose their children, their loved ones. I'm so sorry for your loss.
The saying of, it hurts more to lose your child than your parent, is so true. had this done for him.
What does it say? Charles Vincent.
And then the day he passed away.
What is this? Is this an eagle or something?
It's a symbol of epilepsy.
Oh, this is the caduceus,
Yes.
right? Yeah, okay. You okay?
I'm fine.
Want some singuelas?
Oh, no.
A beautiful woman brought it for us.
So Monica didn't want to do that interview. Johnny was the one who convinced her, and the only reason she did the interview was to fight politically.
Since then, she's spoken up at the hearing down there at
The legislature.
the legislature. Since then, she's been an advocate, fighting for these doctors that have they don't answer you, they don't, somebody has to do something. And if Monica's story does not touch you, if Mr. Lebowski's story does not touch you, baby Faith Tidegui, all these people.
Annalyn Lagrimus, her father.
If the only people that could change this are our senators. So if we can ask every one of you to write letters demanding that they change the medical arbitration law, and if not, we will vote them out in November.
Remember, in November, and protests today at the ITC intersection. It all really starts with our actions today.
And we are aware that a lot of you are afraid to speak out. If we don't and we keep it the way it is, Guam will never change. We need to wake up. We need to stand tall. And it's only for the betterment of us and our children.
Thank you, Monica, for sharing your story with the people of Guam and with Guam's senators and Guam's governor. As Jacob Nakamura was posting on the comments, it's true. One of the biggest contributing blocks of funding to members of the legislature and to the governor in the 2018 election were doctors, clinics, and those in the medical industry. Actually, one of the members of Governor Lou Leongaro's very small kitchen cabinet is the chief financial officer or the vice president of finances over at GRMC. And so the medical industry is very well connected to the political scene. And the reason why this medical malpractice mandatory arbitration act continues to exist is because of the stronghold that bad doctors have on the system. And yes, there are a lot of good doctors on this island. They shouldn't be afraid of the repeal of this law if they're good doctors. And someone brings up a point that, make sure you prevent frivolous lawsuits, do things to prevent frivolous lawsuits. I think in a couple of pieces of legislation, the ideas that have been shared with me by a couple of senators, there are safeguards like that in those pieces of legislation. And so hopefully we get some sort of response today from at least one of those senators, and by the end of the week by at least another one of those senators, as this fight by David Lebowski, Monica De Vera, Twilight's Tidegui, Annalyn Lagrimus, and more continues.
And Kandit.
We're the backup.
Yes.
We're the backup.
We are not
gangsters.
kidding when we say the fight has begun. November is almost here. And if you do not take a stand against this medical arbitration law, we will vote you out in November. You mark my words.
We have some good news coming out of the Department of Education, thanks to an effort by Superintendent John Fernandez and the Board of Education, including its chairwoman, Maria Gutierrez. The daily food, the school lunch meals
That's been the summer.
Yeah, is going through July 31, 2020. Over the past several weeks, GDOE has been working with local and federal counterparts to expand the school meals program. USDA approved GDOE's waiver request, so the grab-and-go school meals will continue to be made available through July 31. The locations and the times. So the grab-and-go meal program provides no-cost breakfast and lunch meals to children ages 18 and under from public, private, and Dodea schools. The school meal distribution takes place Monday through Friday, except holidays, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the following 12 school sites. In the north, Astumbo Elementary School, FBLG Middle, Maria Ujoa Elementary, and Weddingale Elementary. In the central villages, Agania Heights Elementary, BP Carbolito Elementary, GW High, JFK High, and Jose Rios Middle. And in the south, Inarajan Elementary, MU Lujan Elementary, and Southern High School. The guidelines for the grab-and-go school meal will continue on as they have. Families are provided with 1 meal per child, and vehicles are permitted a maximum of 10 meals, while walkers are permitted a maximum of 5 meals. Walkers may begin picking up meals at 11:30 a.m. The superintendent says, we have seen the steady demand for the school meal program from our students and the members of our community. Thanks to a collaborative effort and the continued hard work of our GDOE staff and Serve Guam Commission volunteers, our students will continue to receive nutritious meals at no cost throughout the summer. Thank you for that news, Mrs. Gutierrez.
Also, the kids you have to make sure that you sign your kids out. If you need to return books, if you have library books, if you have the school books, please return those to your kids' school to make sure they're cleared for next school year. I got the notice. I found my library books, so I got to do that. But yeah, just reminding parents, just make sure you return those books for the school kids. What?
I just remembered that I may or may not have library books from the Agania Library from 35 years ago or something.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Buenas, Senator Clint Ruggiel and Senator Jim Wennon, thank you for joining us. If you were not able to tune into the entire interview with Monica De Vera, which is a replay from our July 16, 2019 interview, please do watch at the very least that
don't
segment
worry,
of
I'll
this
be
show.
sending you the videos of Mr. Lebowski and Miss Monica De Vera.
And did we have any other? I know there was the testimony before the Guam legislature, but I think we need to go and get Annalyn Nagramis on camera, and hopefully Twyla Taidagui is up for it. But she is grieving the loss of her infant daughter,
right,
who was born of a set of twins, and her infant daughter never saw actual sunlight. She only saw the 4 walls of the place where she was born and died from an infection.
And right after that, GRMC shut down their maternity ward and their neonatal ward.
Their neonatal intensive care unit. I think
they shut down everything, whatever.
Against their QC. They have a QC that says they have a contractual obligation with the government that says that they are going to operate those facilities. And of course, GovGuam is doing nothing about it. The Leon Guerrero administration is doing absolutely nothing to rectify that. They're getting a tax break, and they're not even following the details of their contracts. It's just corruption all around this government. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Johnny Rosario.
Good day.